Sambhutim cha vinasham cha yattadvedo bhayam sa vinashena mrityum tirtva sambhut yamritamashnuti. One should know perfectly the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna and his transcendental name, form, qualities and pastimes, as well as the temporary material creation with its temporary demigods, men and animals. When one knows these, he surpasses death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation with it. And in the eternal kingdom of God, he enjoys his life, eternal life of bliss and knowledge. By its so-called advancement of knowledge, human civilization has created many material things, including spaceships and atomic energy. Yet it has failed to create a situation in which people need not die, take birth again, become old or suffer from disease. Whenever an intelligent man raises the question of these miseries before a so-called scientist, the scientist very cleverly replies that material science is progressing and that ultimately it will be possible to render man deathless, ageless and diseaseless. Such answers prove the scientist's gross ignorance of material nature. In material nature, everyone is under the stringent laws of matter and must pass through 6 stages of existence: the birth, growth, maintenance, production of byproducts, deterioration, and finally death. No one is in contact with material nature can be beyond these 6 laws of transformation. Therefore, no one, whether demigod, man, animal, or planet, can survive forever in this material world. The duration of life varies according to the species. Brahma, the chief living being within the material universe, lives for millions and millions of years, while a minute germ lives for some hours only. But no one in the material world can survive eternally. Things are born or created under certain conditions. They stay for some time, and if they continue to live, they grow, procreate, gradually dwindle, and finally vanish. According to these laws, even the Brahmas, of which there are millions of different universes, in different universes, are all liable to death either today or tomorrow. Therefore, the entire material universe is called Martyaloka, the place of death. Material scientists and politicians are trying to make this place deathless because they have no information of the deathless spiritual nature. This is due to their ignorance of the Vedic literature, which contains full knowledge confirmed by mature transcendental experience. Unfortunately, modern man is averse to receiving knowledge from the Vedas, the Puranas and the other scriptures. From the Vishnu Puran we receive the following information. Vishnu Shakti Paraprokta Kshetre Gyanakhya Tataha Para Avidya Karma Samaj Nanya Tirtiya Shaktirishate. Lord Vishnu, the personality of Godhead, possesses different energies known as Para, superior, and Apara, inferior. The living entities belong to the superior energy. The material energy in which we are presently entangled is the inferior energy. The material creation is made possible by this energy, which covers the living entities with ignorance, avidya, and induces them to perform fruitive activities. Yet there is another part of the Lord's superior energy that is different from both this material inferior energy and the living entities. That superior energy constitutes the eternal deathless abode of the Lord. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita. Parastasmat tu bhavo anyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yaha sa sarveshu bhuteshu nasayatsu navinashyati. All the material planets, upper, lower and intermediate, including the sun, the moon and Venus, are scattered throughout the universe. These planets exist only during the lifetime of Brahma. Some lower planets, however, are vanquished after the end of one day of Brahma and are again created during the next day of Brahma. On the upper planets, time is calculated differently. One of our years is equal to 24 hours or 1 day and night on the many of upper planets. The 4 ages of Earth, Satya, Treta, Dwapar and Kali, last only 12,000 years according to the time scale of the upper planets. Such a length of time multiplied by 1000 constitutes 1 day of Brahma, and 1 night of Brahma is the same. Such nights and days accumulate into months and years, and Brahma lives for 100 years, such years. At the end of Brahma's life, the complete universal manifestation is vanquished. Those living beings who reside on the higher planets like the sun and the moon, as well as those on the Martyaloka, this earth planet, and also those who live on the lower planets, are all merged into the waters of devastation during the night of Brahma. During this time, no living beings or species remain manifest, although spiritually they continue to exist. This unmanifest state is called Avyakta. Again, when the entire universe is vanquished at the end of Brahma's lifetime, there is another Avyakta state, but beyond these two unmanifested states is another unmanifested state, the spiritual atmosphere or nature. There are a great number of spiritual planets in this atmosphere, and these planets exist eternally, even when all the planets within this material universe are vanquished at the end of Brahma's life. There are many material universes, each under the jurisdiction of a Brahma, and this cosmic manifestation within the jurisdiction of the various Brahmas is but a display of 1/4 of the energy of the Lord, Ekapad Vibhuti. This is inferior energy. Beyond the jurisdiction of Brahma is a spiritual nature which is called Tripad Vibhuti, the 3/4 of the Lord's energy. This is the superior energy, that is the Paraprakriti. The predominating supreme person residing within the spiritual nature is Lord Sri Krishna, as confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. He can be approached only by unalloyed devotional service, and not by the processes of jnana, yoga and karma. The karmis or the fruitive workers can elevate themselves to the Swargaloka, which include the sun and the moon. The jnanis and the yogis can attain still higher planets such as Maharloka, Tapaloka, Brahmaloka. And when they become still more qualified to devotional service, they can enter into the spiritual nature, either the illuminating cosmic atmosphere of the spiritual sky, Brahman, or the Vaikuntha planets, according to their qualification. It is certain, however, that no one can enter into the spiritual Vaikuntha planets without being trained in devotional service. On the material planets, everyone from Brahma down to the ant is trying to lord it over material nature. This is the material disease. As long as this material disease continues, a living entity has to undergo the process of bodily change. Whether he takes the form of a man, a demigod or an animal, he ultimately has to endure an unmanifested condition during two devastations, the devastation during the night of Brahma and the devastation at the end of Brahma's life. If we want to put an end to this process of repeated birth and death, as well as the concomitant factors of old age and disease, we must try to enter into the spiritual planets where we can live eternally in the association of Lord Krishna and his plenary expansions. His Narayana forms, Lord Krishna or his plenary expansions dominate every one of these innumerable planets, a fact confirmed in the Shruti mantras. Eko vasi sarvagaha Krishna idyaha, eko pisan bahuda yo bhati vavati. No one can dominate Krishna. It is the conditioned soul who tries to dominate material nature and is instead subjugated to the laws of material nature and the sufferings of repeated birth and death. The Lord comes here to re-establish the principles of religion, and the basic principle is the development of an attitude of surrender to Him. This is the Lord's last instruction in Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya. Give up all other processes and just surrender unto me alone. Unfortunately, foolish men have misinterpreted this prime teaching and misled the masses into diverse ways. People have been urged to open hospitals, but not to educate themselves to enter into the spiritual kingdom by devotional service. They have been taught to take interest only in temporary relief work, which can never bring real happiness to the living entity. They start varieties of public and semi-governmental institutions to tackle the devastating power of nature, but they do not know how to pacify the insurmountable nature. Many men are advertised as great scholars of Bhagavad Gita, but they overlook Gita's message by which material nature can be pacified. Powerful nature can be pacified only by The awakening of God consciousness is clearly pointed out in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. In this mantra, Sri Ishopanishad teaches one that one must perfectly know both Sambhuti, the personality of Godhead, and Vinasha, the temporary material manifestation, side by side. By knowing the material manifestation alone, one cannot be saved. For in the due course of nature, there is devastation at every moment. Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti hayamalalayam. Nor can one be saved from these devastation by the opening of hospitals. One can be saved only by the complete knowledge of the eternal life of bliss and awareness. The whole Vedic scheme is meant to educate men in this art of attaining eternal knowledge. People are often misguided by temporary attractive things based on sense gratification. But service rendered to the sense objects is both misleading and degrading. We must therefore save ourselves and save our fellow man in the right way. There is no question of liking or disliking the truth. It is there. If we want to be saved from repeated birth and death, we must take to devotional service of the Lord. There can be no compromise, for this is a matter of necessity.
इस पे नहीं गिरेगा। देखिए आप अपने हिसाब से
A materialistic mindset never completes the whole picture. It starts somewhere and it lands nowhere. Therefore, people are very good in imagining, but realistically, how to walk that path is not clear. So, just like people make this point, and so many people they talk about tips and tricks. 100 tips to lead a happy life. The 7 tips to effective leadership, successful leader, and how to be successful, and so on and so forth. How to make friends.
7 tips for successful preacher.
Successful leader, preacher, teacher, or teacher. Yes? So, a lot of tips and tricks. And they say big words. And they say, you see, you should think in this way. They never answer the question, how can one think in that way? How can one maintain that thinking? like to say about thinking positive, always smiling, But how do you always smile? Looking at every situation and always smiling. But how can you look at every situation and smile? You cannot look at situation and smile. Only if you can look at the Supreme Lord behind the situation, then you can smile. Understanding that, okay, the situation may be fearful, but behind that is my Lord. So there is no problem, is it not? So materialistic mindset simply talks in the air actually. They can talk about a state of happiness, but how do you attain that state of happiness? Is it not? And they say, no, you should have unswerving determination, and with that you should just day and night focus. But how do you do that? On one hand, so you can unswervingly focus only if the mindset is rooted. But how will the mindset be rooted if it has a constant supply of sensual desires and provocations? Impossible, is it not? Only if the mindset is fed with Krishna substance, spiritual substance, then it will be satisfied and rooted. Otherwise, where is it rooted? It's uprooted. And in that state of agitation, where is the question of focus? Where is the question of focus? So therefore, actually, the principle of a materialistic mindset is bogus. It can talk about a start state, it can talk about an end state, but where is the process? Where is the basis? Like people may speak about anger management. Manage your anger. Unless the heart is satisfied, unless one has an internal supply of juice, of warmth, of love from somewhere, from the Supreme Lord, how can he just take in and take in and take in bitter poison? Is it not? So there is no basis actually in the material way of handling and tackling problems. Similarly about relationships. Their dealings are based on infatuation, external attraction and infatuation. And nobody understands that, okay, external infatuation is all fine, but how will the dealings or the reciprocation of activity take place? No, it will happen, And how does it happen? You fool the other person, is it not? And how long you? Unless the genuine qualities of service attitude, sacrifice are evolved and they blossom, how can one fool and exploit in relationships? Is it not? Now, whether it is relationships within a family or whether it is relationships in a corporation or in an MNC, it's the same principle, is it not? You can fool a person for some time, but how do you fool him throughout life? So, materialistic algorithms, they do not have a starting point, they do not have an ending point, or they say a start, they say an end, but then there is nothing in between, there is no basis in between. So they take you on the 40th floor of one building, and then they say, okay, here is the next building, you just jump and go there, What do you mean jump and go there? You fall off. If you fall off, the carcass will also not remain, That's exactly how materialistic civilization is building up. It is simply building up on imaginations actually. Therefore, the undue focus is on that which is not required is focused so deeply, and that which is actually required, nobody focuses. Nobody focuses actually. Facilities are secondary. Facilities are not primary. But habits are primary. The state of the heart is primary. So people are worried about the tongue, but people are not worried about the mind. So we see that in such a scenario, there is always, at best, what is produced is a transient or flickering flavor. That's all. And that's what material civilization is expert at actually. Producing a transient and flickering flavor. They can show a good face which is looking very attractive, which is looking very happy, which is looking in ecstasy or appearing in ecstasy, and they can put such a face on a billboard, and seeing that one may feel so nice, or they can shoot a 20-second ad and put it up, But that face is a transient representation, is it not? That same face will not be the same if you were, is it not? That's why you see they keep so it's all transient, it's all artificial actually. You just go make a face, or just like you wear a dress, you wear a face, and then go and do the deal and come back, is it not? It's all transient actually. What is sustaining with time? That is what something which has to be seen actually. Therefore, Prabhupada is making the point, these spaceships, this atomic energy, there is nothing much to be proud of actually. But the actual aspect, the solution to repeated birth and death, the solution to the miseries, that's not there. The old age, the suffering from disease, that's what Prabhupada says, these answers. So therefore there is no full understanding actually. The transient understanding. That is why Krishna's presence has to be very strongly established in our lives and in our activities. In a transient state, there is no meaning. But that which lasts has meaning, actually. If we try to observe our own mind, we can see that the nature of the mind is that, it just follows the philosophy of acceptance and rejection. Now we have heard this many times, but then we can try to observe that one day it says that okay, this devotee is not so good, Another day you feel nice, needed, let me have some relationship, again. Then one feels no, it's just so bogus fellow, no cooperation. Then the next day one is thinking, no, the service will increase, better be humble, So you see, someday you develop a liking, someday you don't develop a liking, is it not? Sometimes we go for a follow-up, so someday we feel, this person, he can take to Krishna consciousness, he is looking obedient. Another day, this fellow bunks the Weekly program our statistics are 0, in the camp, or maybe weekly program is fine. The camp he bunks, and then everybody is asking, okay, Mr. Group Leader, what is your score? And we say, okay, duck, So we're feeling very bad. This fellow is good for nothing. He's not at all serious, like that. Is it not? So acceptance, rejection, actually. Prahlad Maharaj says that actually this differentiation has no meaning. It's mental. So sometimes we can see the with the light. Sometimes we see with the negative light. Sometimes we see positive. Sometimes we see negative. So now, having observed this pattern over a period of time, what can we say about our positive vision and our negative vision? The only conclusion which can be made is that both are bogus. Is it not? Because how can the same thing be positive today and negative tomorrow, and third day it is positive and fourth day it's negative? Is it not? Like sometime husband, he feels disgusted with his wife, he wants to give divorce. Next day he wants to give embrace, and the divorce and embrace. So what is this going on? Both are bogus. Is it not? Like that. Both are bogus actually. So if you get good marks in a subject, you like the subject. If you get bad marks in the subject, you don't like the subject. A professor who gives you good grades is a good professor. A professor who gives you bad grades is a rascal. Is it not? So this is all transient actually. This is all transient. Therefore, a devotee should not commit the mistake of acceptance and rejection. A devotee doesn't focus on upset, so that's what, that the meaning has to be seen in the presence of Krishna. The Krishna's presence has to be there. So devotee doesn't see acceptance, rejection actually. Devotee sees usage in the mission. A devotee doesn't say, Maf, reject, the answer ended, reject, A devotee sees usage in Krishna's service, actually. So that way in a spiritual dictionary, there is no rejection, So everyone is welcome to serve Krishna in whatever way they can, actually. And it is very important that as a devotee we start understanding, we start realizing this aspect. Otherwise, one simply wastes his time and energy, is it not, in classification. So one classifies, then one sees that okay, his classification is not giving the results. Then one gets another classification algorithm, puts everyone, again classifies. What is the use of that actually? For a devotee, there is one group actually. There is one goal. Therefore, the understanding of devotional service can take place in day-to-day life only if the presence of Krishna is very strongly established. And that is the prime task of a sadhaka. To see that in his activities, in his life, the presence of Krishna is very strongly established. Just like devotee relationships. Devotee relationships cannot gel if they don't have sufficient spiritual substance between them. That is the point. Because otherwise, long contact and enmity, familiarity. So there needs to be sufficient spiritual substance. Then only the devotee relationships can go on. So Krishna's presence is not there, anything and everything is very difficult. Sometimes you see devotees are excited about the service only when the service is given, and Hari Bol is done, After some time,
Sorry.
after some time, a person wants to get rid of it. Like Atlas, he wants to dump it on somebody else. Both ho gaya, want to dump it. You can dump it, but where will you go, That is the point, is it not? So you see, when one can uphold, if the Krishna's presence is strongly established. Therefore Prabhupada would stress, when devotees would be enthusiastic of book distribution, Prabhupada would say, read my books. You can do massive book distribution, but then if you don't read, then Krishna's presence is not established. Is it not? And devotees would do deity seva, and then Prabhupada would say, no, one should also, equip the Bhagavatam, otherwise the deity will become Galagrahe, the burden on the neck, because you don't have any consciousness. So therefore Nityam Bhagavat Seva. So in this way we can understand that yes, unless Krishna's presence is strongly established, where do we land? We land nowhere actually. That is why the material universe, the material world cannot be understood without Krishna. The material world cannot be understood without the Supreme Lord in place actually. So Prabhupada explains about how in this world actually, you see, this is just like, we understand, we can only understand this like another example. Prabhupada is explaining how this flux is so much in this world. The people have different duration of life, and there are different planetary systems, they have relativity of time scale actually. But everyone is, there is devastation. There is either an end of the day of Brahma, or when the Brahma's life ends, the devastation. Who is Brahma? Even his life ends. There is a lot of flux in this material world. That means that you see the signal of this material world is very noisy. Is it not? And if you have a noisy signal, then what can you make sense out of it? We need to filter it. Just like if you have a noisy transmission, what channel you can hear? So first the noise has to be filtered, is it not? One needs, just like in a radio, if it is noisy, what are you going to make out of it, is it not? So then you have to tune to the exact frequency, so the noise is removed. So if the noise is removed, then you can hear, okay, it's a news being, transmitted. Or you can hear, it's some songs being transmitted, some kirtan being transmitted, like that. So meaning comes when the tuning takes place, like that. Similarly, material situations should not be taken as it is. The problem is we take as it is it not? Somebody comes and says something, we take it as it is. That's the problem, is it not? So somebody, so now the question is that unless this tuning is there, how do we understand? Is it not? So this tuning is the process of establishing Krishna actually. Like somebody says, one should have more money, and we start running after money. Somebody says, this much position is not sufficient, you need more positions, I start running out of positions. Somebody says facilities, start running out of facilities, is it not? Somebody says you should be more free, how long you'll just follow, now you should, so we start running after, So you see, the whole point is this actually, that just because, or sometimes situations provoke us, So just because some situations are triggering us, why should we act actually? Unless we are very sure that that action is going to lead to an enhancement in Krishna consciousness, why should we act? Is it not? Or why should we react actually? So that's why you see, this understanding of the nature can only be complete if we understand Krishna. So there is no point in jumping up and down with temporary waves. That's what Sri Ishopanishad is talking about. Don't just jump up and down with temporary waves. Today there is spike happiness, tomorrow there is spike misery, frustration, happiness, and all like that. And Sri Ishopanishad is talking about raising of consciousness on a very steady ground, and there is no falling off. There is no falling off actually. So, this is the principle. So, sadhaka means that he needs to work hard to see how Krishna is established in a situation. So, action, only that action which can help in establishing Krishna in this way should be undertaken. Any other action is problem, is it not? So in this way we understand that one should not keep his identity and his connection to Krishna hazy. Just like one is very specific about material energy and material things, in the same way one should be very specific about how his Krishna consciousness will go on smoothly, step by step. Is it not? Very specific. What is the plan? What are the steps? Otherwise, this material energy is giving us simply some titillations, that's all. And therefore all one is doing is a childish play, which has no meaning in his life. Is it not? Just like sometimes children, they speak anything, is it not? And you cannot understand what he's speaking. And he's just speaking and you can just nod, like that. It's childish actually, is it not? Childish actually. We spent hours and hours playing with some toy and we were wondering what time pass kar raha hai. Is it not? Better he can chant Hare Krishna. But then for their worldview, there is nothing more than that which they can understand. Similarly, materialistic people, is it not? There is nothing more which they can understand. So one should not simply be childish. And that's why Sri Ishopanishad is talking about this principle actually, that the understanding of material nature and the understanding of Krishna's eternal position actually, both together can lead one to surpass death and the ephemeral cosmic manifestation. So we'll stop here. Shri Prabhupada ki jai, Shri Ishopanishad ki jai. So we'll meet again Monday evening.
Same as that 12th verse. One should have knowledge of what the science.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Next Sunday, Monday evening.
Yeah, so yes. So in this verse actually, yeah. Now you see how the passage of Shri Upanishad is going on. Shri Upanishad is now actually beaconing the living entity to see more and more the presence of Krishna. Because if you actually tune yourself and start seeing Krishna, then you will see that Krishna is so prominently present that these material waves and all will become insignificant, is it not? Like noise has no significance. If you can filter off noise, what is the value of noise? Whether it is zero state or one state in noise, it is immaterial actually. But that data, the signal is very important. So if we can understand the signal, these provocations and all these are noises. So first Isha Upanishad is talking about that you see both, then you can see holistically. You don't see one side, you see the other side also. Now you're seeing the other side, then you can understand actually that which is material is actually not much of worth. And that which is the basis, that is Krishna, is very prominent. That way. So the emphasis is going now on seeing, focusing more and more on Krishna, the Supreme Personality, and how he pervades everywhere actually, and how he is involved so closely in our lives. So that is the focus now from 12 to 14 as we are moving forward. Is it not?
Whatever is good or bad, both are imaginary, but the real stability is Krishna. But so we feel that this devotee is good, this devotee is bad. Both are. Yeah, we have to see the devotee in relationship with Krishna. But I am thinking that devotee is good. So that thought should be enhanced now. Though it is material, it is not related to Krishna, but that it is a good thought.
No, you see the basis also has to be checked. If you only say, okay, this devotee is good because say because he always talks to me sweetly. The day he doesn't talk to you sweetly, then he's no more good. Is it not? Okay, this senior is good because whatever I say, he says yes. But tomorrow if he comes in mood and says no, then he's not good. Then he's gone into Maya. Is it not? So you see, just saying that somebody is looking good doesn't solve the purpose, is it not? You may say this junior is good, why? Because he is exactly following what we are saying. The day he says, Prabhu, nahi karunga, then. So you see, just saying good is not important. What is the basis of it? Mostly our discrimination of good and bad is based on sense gratification. Somebody supplies the sense gratification, is good. Somebody doesn't supply, bad. Is it not? So good and bad, therefore we are saying Krishna should be established. So good and bad with respect to what? He is good because he is serving Krishna. Therefore there is no point in seeing the material side of a devotee. Krishna also explains that, is it not? You see how he is serving Krishna, is it not? Again.
In order to neglect the rejection and acceptance of mind and just focus, there should be a very strong presence of Krishna in the mind.
Yes.
There should be a very strong.
So our sadhana is geared towards that.
But the problem is that when the time is there to install Krishna in the mind, that time mind is somewhere else. So when we are doing our sadhana, so sometimes it becomes mechanical. The Krishna is not downloaded in the mind.
So if we struggle, we can overcome the mechanical hurdle, is it not? So even though it is mechanical and we are facing difficulty, but if we struggle, then we go beyond mechanical, is it not? Yes? Like, you can be disgusted, but if you struggle, you can see something good, and then disgusted, say, okay, that person not so bad. It's still okay. Life can go on. See, that is the point actually. Wherever we struggle, we can see depth there. But we need to struggle. Okay. There you go. So we'll meet Monday evening again.
Monday evening.
Second Monday.
No.